All right, folks, listen, this is a live stream. And in this video, by the way, this is new information. And in this video, I'm going to show you a Bible verse that connects to what I've been telling you all this time, that Elvis is going to enter Trump. Okay? And when is he going to do that? When Trump gets his head wound on August 4th. Trump's going to get his head wound on August 4th. And he's going to be pronounced dead. Okay? And at that moment when he dies, when he's pronounced dead, Elvis is going to enter him. Okay? And somehow he's going to heal from his deadly wound when Elvis enters him. Okay? And he's going to be the abomination of desolation, because I'm saying Obama because it's on Obama's birthday. That's what this whole Obama thing is about, because he's the president before Trump, right? Because see, Elvis is the real Antichrist and Trump is the Antichrist in the flesh. He's the image of Elvis, okay? And what they're doing is they're doing a counterfeit version of what God did, because when Jesus was walking on the earth as God in the flesh, God was still in heaven, because Jesus is God, okay? The Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, these three are one. It's one God manifested as three, okay? And that's what they're doing right here. You have the Elvis playing God in heaven and Trump playing God on earth, okay? And Obama playing the third wheel in this, which is ridiculous. But who is he playing? The Holy Spirit? I have no idea. Okay, but I'm not saying that. But I'm giving you the best I can make you understand. Okay, and I have two predictions that on June 11th there's going to be a catastrophic event in Washington State. So get out of Washington State before June 11th, and that is the Beast Out of the Sea event. Okay, the biblical beast out of the sea event. And when the beast rises out of the sea, and I'm not saying it's a literal beast, okay, it's Elvis. When the beast rises out of the sea, one of its heads seems to have been wounded. It's a deadly wound that was healed, and the world wondered after the beast, and that's the August 4th event. So the June 11th is the beast out of the sea. The August 4th event, the Trump head wound, is on August 4th, most likely in Ohio, okay? Now, so there's a Bible verse that directly connects to what I'm telling you, okay? And like I said, because, Obama's born on August 4th, Trump's gonna get his head wound on August 4th, and Obama was the president before Trump. Anyway, so that's why I was saying the abomination of desolation, because he's gonna be the walking zombie, this Trump, okay? Because Satan has entered him. Okay, and who is Satan? It's Elvis. Elvis is the real Antichrist. Okay, and like I said, there's a Bible verse that directly connects it. And by the way, I've shown a different Bible verse too, that has to do with, in the past I showed something to do with the MC connecting to Donald, like McDonald. So you got to watch that, because the MC is the 13:3 Bible verse in Revelation. And just real quick, let me show you that before I show you the new info. My phone's working super slow. Revelation 13:3. It's not even working. Okay, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. You see? That's Revelation 13:3. And MC, M is the 13th letter, and C is the third letter, right? McDonald, get it? And anyway, forget that. That was just, I've shown a Bible verse connecting to it also from the past. But this one is exactly what I've been telling you, that Elvis is going to enter Trump, okay? Now, let me show you this real quick. Luke 22:3.
Luke chapter 22, verse 3 states, Then Satan entered Judas, called Iscariot, who was of the number of the 12.
So basically, it's Satan entered Judas, okay? That's basically what it is. Now let's go through this. Make sure you thumb up the video, folks. So just imagine, what is the chance that Satan entered the first time Satan entered somebody, it was Judas. Okay? So Satan entered Judas, and what is the chance that they both equal the exact same in Gematria, exact same numbers? And I showed this 7-8 years ago, okay, on my channel. That, what is the chance of that? That's all I'm asking, okay? Now, so what is the Bible verse that says Satan entered Judas? It was Luke 22:3, okay? And it says, then Satan entered Judas, right? Now, watch how this kind of connects to my predictions, okay? Watch. So, first of all, let's start with the number 42. Elvis died at the age of 42. Washington's the 42nd state where this June 11th event is going to be, okay? Now, the 42nd prime equals 181, and I just told you Elvis died at the age of 42. Washington's the 42nd state, and that's where it's going to be, the June 11th event. If you total the 181 prime with the 42nd sequence number, because the 42nd prime number is 181, okay? That's the prime number, and that's the sequence number 42, the 42nd number. Anyway, it equals 223. So that's your first connection with the 223, Luke 223, right? Now, notice that it's got the 22 and the 23 connection. Let me get that one out of the way before I show you the good stuff. So the prime numbers of 22 and 23 add up to 45 and 162. And June 11th is the 162nd day of the year. August 4th is the 216th day of the year. And the 45 is the Trump connection, right? He was the 45th president, right? And August 4th is the 216th day of the year. All right, but that's June 11th. Anyway, so on August 4th, 25, this year, the Trump head wound, the day that Elvis enters Trump, okay? I'm just asking, what is the chance of this? So Luke 22:3, if you add the prime numbers for 22 and 3, you get, first of all, 22 plus 3 equals 25. And then the 22nd prime is 79. The third prime is 5. You get 84. I'm just asking, 8425? Are you serious right now? When I just told you that that's when the Trump's head wound is, 8425. Okay? I'm just asking, what is the chance of that? That Luke 22:3, where Satan enters Judas, and I'm telling you, Elvis enters Trump, and by the way, Trump turns 79 on June 14th, This is ridiculous, man. Anyway, there's more I could have shown you there. But look at this. The 223rd, because we're talking about Luke 22:3. The 223rd prime number is 1409. You add the 223, you get 1632. June 11th is the 162nd day of the year and 163rd day on a leap year. So there is connections there, 163, 162. But here's where it gets good. So the word twin equals 66, and Elvis had an identical twin that died at birth, and that's why the Twin Towers fell 66 years after Elvis was born, because his twin died at birth. There was two of them, one lived, you understand? So that's why you have the one world trade now instead of the double twin. But look, So the word twin, this is the breakdown of the letters. T, W, I, N. This is what each letter equals in the alphabet, right? So you get the word twin equals 66, right? And look at the breakdown of this, okay? So what are we talking about? Luke 22:3. The 223rd prime is 1409. Look at these numbers for the word twin. 149 and a 0 and 223. Look at that. 223 1409. 223 and 1409. I'm just asking, like, is that a coincidence too? That the 220, and we're talking about Luke 22:3, the 223rd number is 1409. It's exactly the word twin, the numbers. I'm just asking, folks, you know. And the 223rd prime I just showed you is 1409. If you did the 1409th prime number, it's 11743. And what is important about that? Because I told you the 3 is a crown. That's why you have Washington starting with the W. The W is a crown, just like the O is a crown. And look, W on top of 7411. 7411. Jesus equals 7411. You see? You know. Lucifer equals 74 also, but Lucifer doesn't equal any of these numbers. Lucifer equals 74, 38, 115, 43. So Jesus equals 74, 11, 61, 34. But it's the 74, 11 with a crown, you see? And if you break that, and if you were to, because the 223rd prime was 1409, the O can be a 0. So 14th prime is 43, the 9th prime is 23, you get 66, the word twin. You see how it all comes together? You understand what I'm showing here? Because the 0 doesn't mean, because I was just showing you that the 223rd prime I was showing is 1409, see? And it just goes right back to the twin, okay? And, if you take the 0 out, it's 149. And, Elvis was born in the year 35. And the prime number 35 equals 149. The JFK was the 35th president. And JFK is born on 529, the 149th day of the year. You see what I'm saying? And 529, JFK's birthday, is the reverse date of August 4th, the 216th day of the year. So that's the day Trump gets his head wound, on the reverse date of JFK's death date. I mean, JFK's birthday. Yeah, but I'm just showing that it connected to Elvis's birth year, the JFK stuff. Just give me 1 second here. And also, the only year in when using prime numbers, the only year. Give me a second. I said, remember, I was telling you the year Elvis was born 35, but if you do the whole thing, 1935, the 19th prime is 67, the 35th prime is 149, adds up to 216. That's August 4th, the 216th day of the year. Elvis Aaron Presley equals 216, his full name. And, 6 times 6 times 6 equals 216, and that's the day Trump gets his head wound, August 4th, okay? And even if you add up all the prime numbers for twin, because remember the word twin has all these numbers, that's these numbers. If you take these numbers and give it their prime number, the 14th prime is 43, the 9th prime is 23, 20th is 71, 23rd is 83. You get 66, right, for the word twin. Then you get 228, the total. And look, Elvis died on the 228th day of the year. I'm just saying, this is another connection, because Elvis had a twin, right? You know what I'm saying? And by the way, if you add up all the numbers between 8 through 16, it adds up to 108. And Elvis and his twin were born on 108. And look at this. You see the word enters? It's interesting because, I told you Elvis and his twin were born on 108 or 18. And June 11th is the 162nd day of the year. On leap year, it's 163. And we're in the year 225, 2025. Look, it equals 8181. But that's the word enters, because that's what's going to happen, right? You're going to have enters. And the word enter without the S equals the exact word as the word crown, but backwards. See, enter has the same number as crown, but backwards. It's reversed. Okay? Now, anyone who got in late, you got to come from the beginning. So, we're talking about Luke 22:3, right? The word Luke, the name Luke by itself. Oh, look at this. It's got my birth date in it. Remember I told you about 9495? That's my birthday because I was born on 9/4, but it landed on the 9/5 day. Look, it adds up to 108. So Luke equals 49, okay? It's almost the word Lord, actually. It's only one number off. The 22 is 13. But anyway, so the point is that Luke equals 49. That's what I want you to see. Okay? The 49 for Luke. And why am I showing that? Because look, if you add remember Luke, we're talking about Luke 22:3. Luke equals 49. Oh, but first, let me show this. 22 and 3. 22 plus 3 is 25, right? So what would you get if you added Luke? Luke equaled 49, right? So 49 plus 22 plus 3 would be 74. You see, that's the number for Jesus and for Lucifer, because that's what that's what I'm trying to make you understand. They're birthing the number 40, the number 74. You get what I'm saying? Because August 4th is 7 months, 4 days into the year also. Does that make sense? Before I move on, did you guys understand that? Can I get a little feedback on that? Because if you didn't understand it, I want to repeat it. Do you get it? Anyway, before I move on here, hold on. And that's why it's so important, that date. Because remember, if you saw earlier what I showed you, hold on. Yeah, make sure you watch from the beginning if you got in late. Okay. So listen to what I'm telling you. Obama's born in the 61st year. Okay? Pay attention. He's born in the 61st year, 7 months, 4 days into the year. And if you remember, I showed you something earlier connecting with Jesus. Look, see? See, that's why Obama's birthday is so important, because Jesus equals 7461. So Obama's born in the 61st year, 7 months, 4 days into the year. Do you understand? He's born on, because August 4th is 7 months, 4 days into the year. 7461. Okay? Now, so anyway, back to what I was showing you. So Luke equals 49. And then if you add the 22 and the 3, you get 74. And I told you Jesus equals 74 and Lucifer equals 74, right? Because Jesus created Lucifer and he made him perfect until iniquity was found in him, and there was a war and he got tossed down, Lucifer, and became Satan. Anyway, so we're talking about Luke 22:3, right? Look what happens if you add, if you were to put into the calculator, not my calculator, because my calculator doesn't add numbers unless they're typed out and made into words. But if you go onto somebody else's calculator where it adds up the numbers, if you added Luke with 22 and the number 3, you get 74, 38, 84, 48. Okay? And look, Lucifer equals 74, 38. And look, 8-4. That's when Trump gets his head wound. And look at that. 8-4 backwards too, right there. But anyway, 74 and 84. You see? Okay? Because I told you Trump's going to get his head wound on August 4th. All right? And Luke 22:3 says Elvis enters, Satan enters Judas, right? Anyway, Elvis, if you put the word Elvis, the name Elvis and the name Luke together, you get 116. Until the 6/11 event, June 11th, is the Washington State event. And you know that June 11th equals 141 when you put it into the Gematria calculator. Look what happens when you put Elvis, Luke, and then add the 22 and the 3, 141. So Elvis, Luke equals 116, then add the 22 and 3, you get 141. You see what I mean? You know, in June 11th, it's the only date that equals 141. Okay, and I've shown many things on the 141. You got to watch it. Okay. Anyway, back to the 74. So Luke equals 49. Then add the 22:3 because Luke 22:3 we're talking about, right? Equals 74. Interesting. Like I said, not using my calculator, but somebody else's calculator where it can add numbers that go like that instead of written out as words. So Luke 22:3, 8, 4, 20, 25. If you put 3 crowns on Elvis Aaron Presley, Donald John Trump, Barack Hussein Obama, and add Luke 22:3, 8, 4, 20, 25, you get 740 with a crown. 74 with a crown. You see? You know what I'm saying? Because remember, it was what the heck? What is this? How'd that get over there? It was 74, right? Luke 22:3, add up to 74. Then you put everybody's name and then put a crown on each one. Then add the Bible verse and 8, 4, 20, 25. Because that's Luke 22:3 is when Satan entered Judas. Elvis is going to enter Trump on Barack's birthday. Are you getting it? Okay. 74 with a crown. That's Lucifer with a crown or Jesus with a crown, right? Because Jesus created Lucifer, And here's another connection. Remember, you can't use this on my calculator because my calculator doesn't do numbers. You have to type it out and make it into words. But anyway, if you put a crown on Elvis Aaron Presley, August 4th, 25, don't put 2025, just August 4th, 25. And then Donald John Trump and Luke 22:3, you get 816. Elvis died on 816. Okay, so there's another connection there. How about this one? A crown on Donald John Trump and Barack Hussein Obama, because August 4th is his birthday. That's the day Trump gets his head wound. And then add Luke 22:3, you get 614. Trump's born on 614. You see, the crown, the head, the portal, the ring, whatever the hell you want to make of the O, Okay. And then, how about this one? You put Donald John Trump, Barack Hussein Obama, August 4th. Now add Elvis, Luke 22:3. Just put Elvis, the first name, Luke 22:3. You get 666. You see that? Remember, you can't do it on my calculator because it doesn't type in 22:3. But you understand? Who's not understanding this? I'll repeat whatever you're not understanding. Now, if you put a crown on Elvis Aaron Presley, a crown on Donald John Trump, okay, then just put Barack Hussein Obama August 4th, and then Luke 22:3, you get 845. And Trump's gonna get his head wound on 8-4, and on a leap year, 8-4 lands on 8-5. So you have 8-4, 8-5, or Trump being the 45th president on, something like that. And then I told you that Trump somehow makes a miraculous recovery after getting his head wound on August 4th, when Elvis enters him, and then he comes back probably on 8-8, which is the Lionsgate portal day. Look at that. If you put Donald John Trump and then put Luke, then actually do it. Type out the words 22 and 3, like 22-3, Luke 22-3, and then put August 4th, 2025. You get 888. I'm just saying, and look, you get the backwards numbers of Jesus number. Remember, 7461 is backwards 1647. All right, well, I got to take a break for a second. I don't have much more. I only have like just a few more cards left. By the way, I have one more video to do about this Trump thing, and then I'm going to go back to doing the June 11th stuff. I got to hurry up and get going with this. All right. So like I said, I can show you so many connections with the twin, but basically what I've done with that is just show it over time on different videos. So it's so much info on the twin that I can't show it in one video. It's impossible, So I'm just going to show one little thing and then move on. But anyone who got in late, you got to watch from the beginning. Okay, make sure you thumb up the video too, and make sure you comment after the video's up. Under the comment section. I'm almost done. So the word twin equals 66 and the reduced number is 21. So twin equals 66 and reduced is 21, okay? And I told you the next 911 is on 611. If you add up all the numbers between 1 through 11 and 1 through 6, you get 66 and 21. You see that? 1 through 11 is 66, 1 through 6 is 21. That's your 611 date that the next 911 is going to be. And look, 6621 is twin. And I told you Elvis had an identical twin that died at birth. You see? You see what I'm saying? And 6 times 11 is 66, So, and when did the insurrection happen? On 1/6 and 21. That was the insurrection. And the word insurrection equals exactly the word resurrection. Oh, and before I move on, hold on. Let me show that. So, you know what? I'm just going to show, let me just show this real quick. Give me 1 second. So insurrection equals exactly the word resurrection, but I just didn't write it all in. But it's exact same numbers, forward, backward, every number is the same. I just wanted you to see that. So insurrection completely equals resurrection, exact same numbers. And the first numbers, which is the most important, is 165 and 66. Look, Trump's born on the 165th, 166th day of the year. 16566, 16566. Insurrection, resurrection. You see? Now when you that's why when you see this, that 1 through 6 equaling 21, that's the insurrection day, 1/6/21, which is resurrection, you know what I mean? But anyway, the next 9/11 is on 6/11, and 1 through 11 equals 66, 1 through 6 equals 21, and the word twin equals 6621. Okay? And remember, the Twin Towers fell on 9/11, 66 years after Elvis was born. And what year was it? In 2001. Get it? 2001. Are you understanding it? So it happened 66 years, and then 2001. That's the 21 connection. Okay. Now, so what number is needed? So what number is in between the 66 and the 21? What's needed in between 66 and 21? How can 21 get to the 66? You would need the 45, right? Which I told you is the bridge, is the portal, the 45, and then the head, the crown, the portal, the O, 45 O. But anyway, so the 45 is in between the 21 and 66, because 21 plus 45 is 66. And how do you get to the 45? What number? The 9. See what I mean? You see how perfect it is, the puzzle? Because 21 plus 45 is 66. So you already had the 9/11, and now you need the 6/11. Do you get what I'm saying? And the 6/9 is the crown. So it's like the crown on the 11, you know? Does that make sense? Does anyone not understand what I'm showing here? Because it's all about the twin, okay? Is there anyone who didn't understand that? I'm almost done. I only have 5 more cards. Give me a second. So remember, I told you twin equals 6621. And look, see, from Elvis's birth to the exact day the towers fell in 2001, because remember, twin equals 6621. So from Elvis's birth to the exact day, 9/11, the twin towers fell. Because remember, Elvis had an identical twin that died at birth, 6621. And I told you, what day is Trump going to get his head wound? On 8/4. So you have 8 months, 4 days in between also. 66 years, 2/1, 6621 is twin. The twin towers fell. 8 months, 4 days. Trump's gonna get his head wound on 8/4, right? And And look at that. See, Trump's born on 6/14, right? And I'm telling you the 6/11 event, right? So 6 times 11 is 66. 6 times 14 is 84. 66, 84. And look, you have 150. 15 with a crown. The letter O is the 15th letter. So it's the 15 with a crown or a portal, you know, because I told you it's the same thing as the when I show you the W. But anyway, so 66 years, 8 months, 4 days. You see what I mean? 66, 84, 6684. Because Trump's going to get his head wound on 84. And it's all about the twin, you know, which I just explained to you if you were watching that the Luke 22:3 was all connected to the twin. All right. And, um, and, um, and check this out. You know, there was two of them born on that day, right? When Elvis was born. So there was two twins. So if twin equals 66, then you have another twin that's 66, 66. Look what happens. First of all, you know, Trump was got his supposed ear clipped on 7/13. It's the same numbers. If you turn these things the other way, it would be LIE, which you understand equals the word lie. But that day when he got his ear clipped, remember the time was 6:11 on the clock. You remember that? And then he went back to Butler where he got his ear clipped 84 days later. And they did a moment of silence at 6:11. So everything connects to my two predictions, 6:11 and 8/4. But anyway, so you have twin. 66, 66 is twin. Because twin equals 66. You add it up, you get 634. 63, 64. And why is that important? Because on August 4th, when Trump's head wound, on August 4th, which is Obama's birthday, Obama goes from the age 63 to 64. Okay? Trump's head wound was on 8/4. Obama's born on 8/4. He goes from 63 to 64. Do you get it? 63, 64. Okay? And what happens at that very moment from 63 to 64? Remember, Obama's born at 61. You see that 1-5 with a crown? Trump was 15 when Obama was 0 years old when he was born. Then the next year he's 16, 1, 17, 2, 18, 3. You get 6, 6, 6 at the 64 mark. You understand? The 64 mark. He turned 64, Obama. Okay? 64, you know, connection to twin, you know. Okay? And you know, and they started with at 61, right? Because Trump's born at 6/14. Look, he's got the number 614, 6/1 through 4. Get it? 6/1 through 4. You get the 666. You know what I mean? Because Obama's born in 61. You understand? And notice what the numbers are here. 12 and 3. See the numbers 1, 2, 3. Elvis's comeback special was aired on 12/3 in the year 1968. So there is, you know, big connections with that. I could show you much more, but that's enough. I already showed way too much. The whole point of this video was early in the video where I showed you that Luke 22:3 connected to the twin numbers. Go you watch that and connected to the day Trump gets his head wound. And because that Bible verse connects to what I've been saying this whole time, that Elvis is going to enter Trump. That's how he becomes the abomination of desolation. Okay, because I think somewhere in there is that he's possessed. It says, I can't remember. In the book of Revelation, does it say that the Antichrist is going to be possessed? Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, it says the coming Antichrist will be specifically empowered and even possessed by Satan himself. So basically, somehow he gives him power through him. You know what I mean? Because I mean, what else would mean becoming an abomination? You know, what does that mean? Because you know what I mean. Like, you know how they always say, you know, have you ever seen movies where they call something an abomination? As you know, when they see a zombie, they, you know, they go, oh, it's an abomination. You know, you've seen that, right? That's what that means. It literally is a soulless, you know, entity inside of it. You know, what is an abomination?
An abomination is something that is extremely disliked, hated, or abhorred,
Let
often
me
described as vile, shameful, or detestable.
let me get a different. There's here. Let's see what this. Offensive to God. Um, but yeah, but it could mean in many things. Yeah. What is the abomination of desolation? Oh, that's
The
what I meant to look.
abomination of
The
desolation.
What does desolation mean?
Here's the definition of
Yeah, a state of
desolation.
complete
A state
emptiness
of
or
complete emptiness.
destruction. So what I'm saying is, uh, Trump becomes empty, and Elvis enters him when he becomes empty. You understand? That's why he has to die for him to get in there. You know. You know. Do you understand the abomination of desolation? That's the part I forgot to mention. You know. Anyway, all right, folks, that's it. I'm gonna end it here. Anything you guys want to ask me before I end the chat? Like I said, some of the stuff was, you know, over the top. You know, it's not that. But if you look at the beginning, just showing that Luke 22:3 connections, and then, you know, some of the little stuff at the end that I showed. You know, it's pretty good. I'm saying, when you, especially when you consider the the other videos that I've shown. You know, this is just a piece of the thousands of pieces of info that I've shown over the years. All right. Any last words? Yeah, make sure you thumb up the video and make sure you comment under the comment section. What? Trump is doing a rally today? I don't know. I didn't hear about that. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, just make sure you guys thumb up the video. Is Trump doing a rally today? What? Details released about Trump's 100 Days rally in Macomb County on April 29th. Trump will hold a rally in Michigan next week to mark his first 100 days in office. Hands off protesters across U.S. rally against Trump. Nationwide hands off protests erupt against Trump and Musk. Yeah. All right, folks. Yeah, I see it now. Yeah. All right, folks. Any last? I'm going to end it now. Anyway, God bless all of you. Jesus is God. End the video. I'll be back in like 6 or 7 hours with another live stream. All right. God bless all of you. Jesus is God. End the video.